If you listened to last week's episode, you heard me walk through what 8 weeks of proper structure did to my own body at 40. This week, I want to flip it. Instead of what I did right, I want to talk about what most former athletes are getting wrong. Because after coaching a lot of men and women through the same pattern, the same 5 mistakes come up almost every time, and none of them are the ones that you think. Nobody is doing anything dramatically wrong. That's the frustrating part. These are small things that compound over time until the body just stops responding. Mistake number 1, you're measuring progress with the scales. I talked about this last week. I lost 1.9 kilos of fat and gained 0.6 kilos of muscle in 8 weeks. The scale said I lost 0.6 kilos, half a bag of sugar. If I was only watching the scales, I would have thought nothing happened. I might have even quit. The scales can't see body recomposition. They tell you one number, and that number misleads more people than any other metric in fitness. I see this constantly. Someone starts coaching, trains probably for 6 weeks, their clothes fit differently, their waist is down, their strength levels are up, they feel better, and then they step on the scales and the number hasn't moved, and they think it's not working. It is working. They're just watching the wrong number. Better markers would be your waist measurement, how your clothes fit, how you look, how you perform, how you recover, your energy levels. If any of those are improving, you're progressing, regardless of what the scales say. Mistake number 2, you're under eating protein, probably by about half. This is the single biggest mistake, and it surprises everybody. The target for most adults is 1.6 to 2 grams per kilo of body weight. For most former athletes, that works out somewhere between 110 and 180 grams a day, depending on your size. For instance, a 65 kilo woman needs different numbers to a 90 kilo man. But most people, men and women, are still eating about half of what they need when they start. That gap is massive, and it explains almost everything. Why the soreness compounds, why the niggles stick around, why the body never seems to change, no matter how hard you train. Protein is repair material. It's what your body uses to rebuild itself between sessions. So if you're not eating enough, the training creates damage that never fully repairs. You're asking for a rebuild without providing the raw materials. And eating more protein doesn't just mean eating more food. It means restructuring what you're already eating. Swapping a bagel for eggs, adding chicken or fish to lunch, having a shake after training. Simple changes, massive difference. If you fix nothing else from this episode, fix this first. Mistake number 3, you're training with intensity but no structure. Most former athletes who I work with have no shortage of effort. They'll train hard, they'll push themselves, they'll leave it all on the floor. The problem isn't effort. It's that effort is being applied to random sessions with no progression, no recovery plan, and no structure built in. You're going hard, just not in any direction. I've seen lads deadlift the same weight every week for 6 months and then wonder why they're not getting stronger. I've seen people who are wrecked after every session wonder why their body isn't changing. Effort without structure isn't training. It's just organized damage. The people who actually change don't train harder than you. They train inside a system that knows when to push and when to pull back, when to add weight and when to hold, when to go heavy and when to deload. Willpower without structure will keep you stuck for years. Mistake number 4, you're skipping warm-ups. This is the one that nearly ended my career. January 2016. No warm-up. Heavy bent over rows. 3 buzzing discs later. I was 30 years old, and the physio told me that I'd probably never lift heavy again. At 22, you could walk into the gym, pick up a heavy barbell, and go. At 38, that's where injuries happen. Cold spine, tight hips, shoulders that haven't moved all day because you've been at a desk. Every client I coach now does a structured warm-up before every session. 5 minutes of hip openers, glute activation, and thoracic mobility. That's it. People who've been carrying niggles for years often come back after a few weeks saying that training feels completely different. That's not magic. That's a properly warmed up body being loaded into positions that it can actually handle. 5 minutes every session, non-negotiable. If you're 35 and you're skipping warm-ups, you're playing a game that you'll eventually lose. Mistake number 5, you're treating recovery like laziness. Most former athletes were taught that a good session is a brutal session. That if you're not wrecked, you didn't work hard enough. That worked at 22 with no job, no kids, and recovery capacity for days. It does not work at 38. Recovery is where adaptation happens. If you can't recover, you can't progress. 3 to 4 structured sessions that you can actually come back from will beat 5 brutal sessions that wreck you every time. The session is only useful if you can do the next one. Every athlete who competes at a high level manages recovery carefully. They don't train to failure every session. They train with intent and they recover properly. You need to do the same. So there you go. 5 mistakes keeping former athletes stuck after 35. Measuring with the wrong metric. Under-eating protein. Training with intensity but no structure. Skipping warm-ups. Treating recovery like laziness. None of these are dramatic. That's why they're easy to miss. But the combination is what keeps people stuck for years. If any of this landed, there are 2 things that you can do right now. First, grab the former athlete blueprint. It's the baseline that we use to start every rebuild. It will show you where the gaps are before we even start training. The link is in the show notes and in my Instagram bio. Second, if you're past the information stage and you want the full rebuild, structured programming, nutrition, weekly check-ins, DM me the word rebuild on Instagram. I'll send you the application, 8 questions, 4 minutes, and if it's a fit, we'll talk. And if you're local to Carnford and you want to train in a small group coaching environment, DM me info. Send this episode to someone who needs it. One of these 5 mistakes might be the thing that they've been missing. Chat to you next week.